Yeah, baby. Come on, sweet thing. Yes. Yes, here we go. Come on. Come on. Woo! Yes. We got fire, baby. Oh, you beer. G'day guys, welcome back to another episode and welcome to a campfire story. I haven't done one of these in a couple of years and I thought I need a bloody excuse to go down, light a fire, drink a little tinny here, little lead, little bush chook, and I'm gonna have a yarn about the top 5 biggest crayfish that I've ever caught in my life. For those of you that don't know what a crayfish is, it's basically this alien looking cockroach that lives under dark places, under ledges, rocks, bommies, and they are absolutely delicious. We in Australia call them crayfish, which is not actually correct. They're all lobsters, rock lobsters, spiny lobsters, the list goes on. And they're all pretty similar. Different shapes, different sizes, different colors, but they basically live the same sort of life. So first up, I have one of the biggest crayfish that I ever caught, and it's kind of a funny backstory, and it's a bit interesting involving a big moray eel. Anyway, we're out diving with the crew out in the remote islands, and we're just sort of looking around for a crayfish, grabbing 1 or 2 for lunch. And we found this ledge and it was absolutely loaded. There was bait, fish, and a heap of crayfish. So I dove down to the ledge, I put my head under, and I just seen these feelers coming out. So I reached in and grabbed it. As I was actually coming out of the cave, I bumped my mask. So I ripped my mask off, I swam up, and I didn't really know how big this thing was, but I got to the top and I looked at it and it was massive. We're talking 5-6 kilos. This is almost as big as these ornates grow. It sort of had a body that was literally the same size as my waist. It was a monster. Straight away, we knew that we had to put it back. I'll put it back. Big, pretty big, eh? So I dropped back down and I put this thing back and away it crawled in, and then I noticed the biggest moray eel just there staring at me like, you bloody have come in and you've disturbed my home. So I went up top and I sort of regrouped myself and I went back down, and there he was, flaring out of his hole, just sort of in the current, taking in oxygen, spitting out the side of there. This is when I thought, oh, should I go for some more crayfish? I don't know yet. So I actually went like 50 meters down this ledge, thinking I was gonna be okay. I waited a little bit, breathed up, went back down, and little did I know, the cheeky bugger has actually followed me along the ledge. And I've gone in, I went to grab a cray, and I'm looking around, I look up and I catch him and he's just staring there. And it's like spooked me. So with moray eels, the reason why I sort of respect them so much is, one, they're just one big muscle basically. They're so powerful and they have that crazy first set of jaws and teeth, and they can be full of bacteria and they're actually gnarly and sharp. But that's not what really spooks you. Lower down their throat, they have another jaw, and in that jaw are smaller teeth, and they're used to literally lock in their prey and force it down their throat. So if you think about it, their heads are like that big. If I put my arm in the cave in the wrong place, the wrong time with a grumpy eel, which it doesn't normally happen, I'm painting the wrong picture about him. This probably, it could happen. And he latched on to there. He'd obviously rip down to the bone up here, but those locking jaws would lock in there, and I probably wouldn't be able to release myself unless he let me go. And there's a potential to drown. So therefore, I just backed off and we didn't get any crays that day. Let's roll on to the next one. So next up, we have a huge red crayfish. The proper name for them is a western rock lobster, and they're only really found the west coast of Australia. They are one of the most tastiest crayfish species that I've eaten. For this particular crayfish, we actually hopped in a helicopter and went on a wild mission in the remote coast. I don't even know if humans have been to half of these spots that we traveled to. We're hooking in the helicopter and we sort of like spotted this area where I thought, yeah, there's probably some crays down there. We haven't really been there before. So we dropped down, landed on the beach. It was so crazy, swam out, and there's just crayfish everywhere, like in so many numbers. And that's what makes them great. They really are, if they're well monitored, which they are in the fishing industry, they're just everywhere. So anyway, I found a big one just sitting under there, undercover, and I grabbed him and he was just a monster, you know, so I decided to let him go. I feel too guilty. I think I might put this one back. That's cheating. I can't believe that just happened. This place is ridiculous.
I wonder what you're looking at.
Man, I'm gonna put this one back. I just can't take it. It was too easy. We continued on, grabbed a couple. We ended up booting along the coast again, and as we were driving along, I just seen all these like shapes, and it sort of took me a little bit to process. There were hundreds of rays and shovel-nosed sharks just like resting in this place, literally in the middle of nowhere. Like, this is the one spot that I think that maybe no humans have ever gone to, because there's no track in and there's a big plain of flats that you would have to, like, you wouldn't be able to get a vehicle in. You'd either go by boat, too far from boat. So the helicopter landed on this like sandbar, and then we cooked up a feed of cray, and one of the best adventures I've had. Grab them, put them over the fire, chuck them on the coals. Look at that. So crayfish diet between the species varies a little tiny bit, but not that much. It mostly consists of like snails, slugs, little tiny crustaceans, algae, fungi, and all that stuff. They're a bit of a scavenger. They sort of go around the bottom at night mainly and just pick off stuff and stuff their face, really. They've got a pretty good life if you think about it. All they do is eat, hide during the day, and then mate at night, and then they die. Oh, that's kind of not that good, is it? Rolling on to the next one, it's probably one of the more personal, one of my more favorite memories with catching a giant crayfish. I had literally just quit work almost 2 years ago now. So for those of you that don't know, I was an electrician for 10 years. And I finally just quit, probably at the wrong time, probably a bit hasty. I went for my long service leave. They knocked me back and I basically just went let and quit. And here I am now 2 years later. It's the best decision I ever made. So to celebrate that, I went camping, grabbed a crayfish, grabbed a monster crayfish. I actually ended up putting that back for the same reason that I've explained before. It was really old. Oh, is it about to shed its shell? Yeah, it's about to drop this shell. I think maybe we'll put this one back. Ornate crayfish are one of the biggest crayfish species in the ocean and a personal favorite for me to catch. They're delicious, they are super fast growing. By year 3, they're sexually mature and they start reproducing. Crayfish are one of the species that really only breed once. There's a really high mortality rate after a crayfish breeds. So they normally only live to 2 to 3 years old before they breed and then they pass away. So within that, they produce a lot of offspring. So that's why if you do it sustainably, they're one of the best things to harvest. The next one moving along is more of a rare crayfish for me. I've never actually caught one until now. It is the brown spiny rock lobster, and they're sort of found in the tropical waters. They're a bit of an interesting one. So I actually caught up with some of the locals and they invited me out on this walking trip at night to find these spiny lobsters. Oh! Woo! And, oh man, the reefs were loaded. And to the boys' credit, the local boys, they actually knew that they shouldn't take the berries, they shouldn't take the small ones, they should pick and choose because there's so many. We grabbed one, cooked up the feed, and I tell you what, that type of lobster was probably the most delicious lobster I've ever eaten. Maybe because we were living off the ocean on the island and I hadn't eaten in a little while and it just was extra tasty, but it was delicious. Wow. And that brings me to the last one, and it is the biggest crayfish that I've ever caught. But before we do that, I'm gonna stoke up the fire, get a little bit more fire baby going. We'll get stuck into it. Yeet! Righto, with crayfish, the biggest reason that we use our hands is because you don't really know what they look like. They like hiding under dark caves, under ledges, in bommies. And I really am against spearing them, because what happens if it's got berries or a tar spot, it's too old, or the big old dogs that have been grabbing and I want to put back. So I really encourage you guys to always just grab them. It's a lot more fun, rewarding, a bit of a challenge, and it's still, you can get a good feed at the end of the day. Ooh, it's time for the biggest crayfish that I've ever caught in my life. This thing was huge. Its legs were literally this bloody long, 2-3 feet long. Crayfish normally only grow to 2 or 3 kilos, but in some exceptions, there's the big old dogs, and they've just lived through a bit. They've gone through some wars, they've gone through some breeding cycles, and this guy was honestly 5-6 kilos. I didn't get to weigh it because I did eventually put it back. So not that long ago, this was pretty recent actually, so some of you guys probably watched this, but not that long ago, I was on a camping mission and I was actually just looking, the same thing, for a smaller crayfish, wanting a good feed, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I just sort of saw the feelers coming out and I didn't really know what to expect because it was literally like a meter deep. It was not deep at all. So I went under and I just grabbed him and I sort of knew a bit once he started like pulling me under, like towards it. So I got him out and then I seen the size of him and the ski was right there. So I was like, bugger it, I'll get it up on the ski and I'll show you guys.
Oh my God, it's huge! It's massive! Oh, that's a big one! Holy shit! It's the biggest one I've ever caught! That's... What the hell?
Oh my God. Oh my God. This is the biggest crayfish I've ever seen in my life. It's got to be 5-6 kilo. It's so bloody big. Look at the size of this thing. Its legs. Oh my God, look at the size of these legs. They're 2 feet long. Holy shit. Ah, it's grabbing me. Fair enough, buddy. No, that's fair enough. I got to decide real quick whether I keep this guy or I put him back. I think he's too big to keep, guys. I'm gonna put him back. Crayfish can live out the water for a little bit, so I just thought I'd show you him. He's an absolute beautiful, beautiful creature. I cannot take that home. Look at the size of him, guys. Are you bloody kidding? Oh, holy shit. Oh, what? Oh, oh, oh. And these big old dogs most likely have been and successfully breeded a few times. Like I said and mentioned before, most of the times the mating sort of period is quite stressful and it leads to death. But there's a few rare cases, and I just believe that these big old dogs, they've been around for ages. I should just let them go on and live their life, and they're probably going to breed over and over again. Like in the animal kingdom, there's always 1 or 2 dominant males around that area. So I sort of left him, and I tell you what, it's just cool to see an animal or a fish or anything like that. So I decided to put him back. I ended up getting a couple of smaller species, taking them back, cooking up the feed.
Whoa! That was so sick!
And that brings us to the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed this campfire story. I bloody loved it. Just having a few beers around the campfire. Stryda's around here somewhere. I don't know where she is, but we'll find her in a little bit. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this. Leave a like, comment below, and that's a bloody wrap, baby. I'll see you guys very bloody soon. Cheers. Maybe you can get me another beer. That'd be a little cheeky, wouldn't it?
Just at the front here at Mossland, I got the drone up in the air down the beach there, and there's a couple of dolphins just cruising around in this beautiful sandbar, channel running through the middle. And I think they're trying to breed or just playing around. Dolphins are a wild little bunch. They do whatever they like. So I'm just watching them. If you guys want to get any merch, we've dropped a fair bit of new stuff online, youngbloods.co, but it goes so quick. So get on there now. Support the channel if you guys want to. We got shirts, hoodies, beanies, adventure shirts, dive masks, dive knives. This goes on and on. We always appreciate all your support, guys. So get over there, youngbloods.co. Check it all out, and I'll see you guys very, very bloody soon. Ooh, ooh. Put that there. Let me show you something. Let me show you something. Come up in the boat. All right, here we go. Ooh, 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 ooh. You guys have to wait till next episode. I'll see you guys bloody soon.